Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapatakamalам Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Saganaragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitamscha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमां विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृद्यन्तस्तो यभद्राणि विदुनुति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shri Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma supersoul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the person of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, are we not live? Oh, Haribol, we are. Hare Krishna, Prabhu Standard Pranam, Jai Śrīla Prabhupada. Who would like to read the first verse today? Or
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandot,
Hare
to all
Krishna,
of
Shubha
you,
Prabhu Standard Pranam, Jai Śrīla Prabhupada. Thank you for joining, Prabhu. Any volunteers?
Hare Krishna, I can read, Prabhu.
Go. Thank you, Prabhu.
Text 37. Idhi sayantanim sandhyam asura pramadayatim pralobayantim jagruhur matva moda dhiyastriyam. Idhi, in this way, sayantanim, the evening, sandhyam, twilight, asura, the demons, pramadayatim, behaving like a wanton woman, pralobayantim, alluring, jagru, seized, matva, thinking to be, Muda Dhiya, unintelligent, Striyam, a woman. Translation. The Asuras, clouded in their understanding, took the evening twilight to be a beautiful woman, showing herself in her alluring form, and they seized her. Purport. The Asuras are described here as Muda Dhiya, meaning that they are captivated by ignorance, just like the ass. The demons were captivated by the false glaring beauty of this material form, and thus they embraced her. Text 38. Prahasya bhava gambhiram jihhrante atmanam atmana kantya sasarja bhagavan gandharvapsarasam sarasam ganan. Prahasya, smiling, bhava gambhiram, with a deep purpose, jihhrantya, understanding, atmanam, himself, atmana, by himself, kantya, by his loveliness, sasarja, created, Bhagavan, the worshipful Lord Brahma, Gandharva, the celestial musicians, Apsarasam, and of the heavenly dancing girls, Ganan, the host of. Translation. With a laugh full of deep significance, the worshipful Brahma then evolved by his own loveliness, which seemed to enjoy itself by itself, the hosts of Gandharvas and Apsaras. Purport. The musicians in the upper planetary systems are called Gandharvas, and the dancing girls are called Apsaras. After being attacked by the demons and evolving a form of a beautiful woman in the twilight, Brahma next created Gandharvas and Apsaras. Music and dancing employed in sense gratification are to be accepted as demoniac, but the same music and dancing, when employed in glorifying the Supreme Lord as Kirtana, is transcendental and brings about a life completely fit for spiritual enjoyment. Text 39. Visasarja tanum tam vai jyotsnam kantimatim priyam ta eva chadadhu pritya vishwavasu puroghama. Visasarja, gave up, tanum, form, tam, that, vai, in fact, jyotsnam, moonlight, kantimatim, shining, priyam, beloved, te, the Gandharvas, eva, certainly, cha, and, adadhu, took possession, pritya, gladly, Vishwavasu, Pura Gama, headed by Vishwavasu. Translation. After that, Brahma gave up that shining and beloved form of moonlight. Vishwavasu and other Gandharvas gladly took possession of it. Text 40. Srishtva Bhuda Pishajamscha Bhagavan Atma Tandrina Digvasaso Muktakeshan Vikshya Chamilayat Drusho. Srishtva, having created, Buddha, ghosts, Pishajan, fiends, Cha, and Bhagavan, Lord Brahma, Atma, his, Tandrina, from laziness, this Vasasa, naked, Mukta, disheveled, Keshan, hair, Vikshya, seeing, Cha, and Amilayat, closed, Trishav, two eyes. Translation. The glorious Brahma next evolved from his cloth the ghosts and fiends, but he closed his eyes when he saw them stand naked with their hair scattered. Purport. Ghosts and mischievous hobgoblins are also the creation of Brahma. They are not false. All of them are meant for putting the conditioned soul into various miseries. They are understood to be the creation of Brahma under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Text 41. Jagrustad visrishtam tam jೃಂಭಾನಖ್ಯಾಂ tanum prabho nidramindriya vikledo yaya bhudeshu drishyate yenochishtan darshayanti tam unmadam prajakshate. Jagru took possession, tad visrishtam, thrown off by him, tam, that, jೃಂಭಾನ akyam, known as yawning, tanum, the body, prabho, of Lord Brahma, nidram, sleep, indriya vikleda, drooling, yaya, by which, bhudeshu, among the living beings, drishyade, is observed, yena, by which, uchishtan, smeared with stool and urine, darshayanti, bewilder, tam, that, unmadam, madness, prajakshade, is spoken of. Translation. The ghost and hobgoblins took possession of the body, which was thrown off in the form of yawning by Brahma, the creator of the living entities. This is also known as the sleep which causes drooling. The hobgoblins and ghosts attack men who are impure, and their attack is spoken of as insanity. Purport. The disease of insanity or being hunted by ghosts takes place in an unclean state of existence. Here it is it is clearly stated that when a man is fast asleep and saliva flows from his mouth and he remains unclean, ghosts then take advantage of his unclean state and haunt his body. In other words, those who drool while sleeping are considered unclean and are subject to be haunted by ghosts or to go insane. I think it's similar to sleep paralysis.
Yes, Prabhu. This is many times shared the verse. It's really nice.
Yes. Text 42. ऊर्जस्वन्दं मन्यमान आत्मानं भगवानच सद्यान् गणान् पितृगणान् परोक्षेणासृजत् प्रभु. Urdhaswandam, full of energy. Manyamana, recognizing. Atmanam, himself. Bhagavan, the most worshipful. Aja, Brahma. Sadhyan, the demigods. Pitrganan, and the Pitas. Parokshena, from his invisible form. Asrajat, created. Prabhu, the Lord of beings. Translation. Recognizing himself to be full of desire and energy, the worshipful Brahma, the creator of the living entities, evolved from his own invisible form, from his navel, the hosts of Sadhyas and Pitas. Purport. The Sadhyas and Pitas are invisible forms of departed souls, and they are also created by Brahma. Text 43. Ta atmasargam tam kayam pitara pratipedire sadhyebhyascha pitrubhyascha kavayo yad vidanvade. They, atmasargam, source of their existence, tam, that, kayam, body, pitara, the pitas, pratipedire, accepted, sadhyebhya, to the sadhyas, cha, and pitrubhya, to the pitas, cha, also, kavaya, those well versed in rituals, yat, through which, vitanvade, offer oblations. Translation. The Pitas themselves took possession of the invisible body, the source of their existence. It is through the medium of this invisible body that those well versed in the rituals offer oblations to the Sadhyas and Pitas in the form of their departed ancestors on the occasion of Shraddha. Purport. Shraddha is a ritualistic performance observed by the followers of the Vedas. There is yearly occasion of 15 days when ritualistic religionists follow the principle of offering oblation to departed souls. Thus, those fathers and ancestors who, by freaks of nature, might not have a gross body for material enjoyment, can again gain such bodies due to the offering of Shraddha, oblations by their descendants. The performance of Shraddha, or offering oblations with prasada, is still current in India, especially at Gaya, where oblations are offered at the lotus feet of Vishnu in a celebrated temple. Because the Lord is thus pleased with devotional service of the descendants, by His grace He liberates the content souls of forefathers who do not have gross bodies, and He favors them to again receive a gross body for development of spiritual advancement. Unfortunately, by the influence of Maya, the conditioned soul employs the body he gets for sense gratification, forgetting that such an occupation may lead him to return again to an invisible body. The devotee of the Lord, or one who is in Krishna consciousness, however, does not need to perform such ritualistic ceremonies as Shraddha, because he is always pleasing the Supreme Lord. Therefore, his fathers and ancestors, who might have been in a difficulty, are automatically relieved. The vivid example is Prahlada Maharaja. Prahlada Maharaja requested Lord Narasimhadeva to deliver his sinful father, who had so many times offended the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord replied that in a family where a Vaishnava like Prahlada is born, not only his father, but his father's father and their fathers up to the 14th father back, are all automatically delivered. The conclusion, therefore, is that Krishna consciousness is the sum total of all good work for the family, for society, and for all living entities. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the author says that a person fully conversant with Krishna consciousness does not perform any rituals because he knows that simply by serving Krishna in full Krishna consciousness, all rituals are automatically performed. Text 44. Siddhan vidyadharamschaiva tirodhanena sosrijat tebhyo dadattam atmanam Antardhana Akyam Adbudam. Siddhan, the Siddhas, Vidyadharan, Vidyadharas, Cha Eva, and also Thira Dhanena, by the faculty of remaining hidden from vision. Sa, Lord Brahma, Asrajat, created, Tebhya, to them, Adadat, gave, Tam Atmanam, that form of his, Andardhana Akyam, known as the Andardhana, Adbudam, wonderful. Translation. Then Lord Brahma, by his ability to be hidden from vision, created the Siddhas and Vidyadharas, and gave them that wonderful form of his known as the Andardhana. Purport. Andardhana means that these living creatures can be perceived to be present, but they cannot be seen by vision. Text 45. Sa kinnaran kim purushan pratyatme yena srij prabhu Manayan Atmanatmanam Atmabhasam Vilokayan. Sa, Lord Brahma, Kinnaran, the Kinnaras, Kim Purushan, the Kim Purushas, Pratyatmyena, from his reflections in water, Asrajat, created, Prabhu, the Lord of the living beings, Brahma, Manayan, admiring, Atmana, Atmanam, himself by himself, Atma Abhasam, his reflection, Vilogayan, seeing. Translation. One day, Brahma, the creator of the living entities, beheld his own reflection in the water, and admiring himself, he evolved Kim Purushas as well as Kinnaras out of that reflection. Text 46. Te tu tajjagruhu rupam tyaktam yat parameshthina miduni bhuya gayantas tam evo sashi karmabhi. They, the Kinnaras and Kimpurushas, too, but Tat, that, Jagru, took possession of, Rupam, that shadowy form, Tyaktam, given up, Yat, which, Parameshthina, by Brahma, Miduni Bhuya, coming together with their spouses, Gayanta, praise in song, Tam, him, Eva, only, Ushasi, at daybreak, Karmabhi, with his exploits. Translation. The Kimpurushas and Kinnaras took possession of that shadowy form which was left by Brahma. That is why they and their spouses sing his praises by recounting his exploits at every daybreak. Purport. The time early in the morning, 1.5 hours before sunrise, is called Brahma Muhurta. During this Brahma Muhurta, spiritual activities are recommended. Spiritual activities performed early in the morning have a greater effect than in any other part of the day. Text 47. Dehena vai bhogavata shaino bhuchintaya sargenu pajide krodhat uttasarja ha tadvabu. Dehena, with his body, vai, indeed, bhogavata, stretching out full length, shayana, lying fully stretched, bahu, great, chintaya, with concern, sarge, the creation, anupajide, not proceeded, krodhat, out of anger, uttasarja, gave up, ha, in fact, tat, that, vabu, body. Translation. Once Brahma lay down with his body stretched at full length, he was very concerned that the work of creation had not proceeded apace, and in a sullen mood he gave up that body too. Text 48. Ye hi yanta mukta kesha ahayastenga nire sarpa prasarpada krura naga bogoru kandara. Ye, which, ahinyanta, dropped out, amuda, from that, kesha, hairs, ahaya, snakes, they, anga, O dear Vidura, jatnide, took birth as, sarpa, snakes, prasarpada, from the crawling body, krura, envious, naga, cobras, boga, with hoods, uru, big, kandara, with whose necks. Translation. O dear Vidura, the hair that dropped from the body transformed into snakes, and even while the body crawled along with his hands and feet contracted, there sprang from it ferocious serpents and nagas with their hoods expanded. Text 49. Sa atmanam manyamana krita krityam ivatmabhu tada manun sasarjante manasa loga bhavanan. Sa, Lord Brahma, atmanam, himself, manyamana, considering, krita, krityam, had accomplished the object of life, iva, as if, atmabhu, born from the Supreme, tada, then, Manun, the Manus, Sasarja, created, Ante, at the end, Manasa, from his mind, Loga, of the world, Bhavanan, promoting the welfare. Translation. One day, Brahma, the self-born, the first living creature, felt as if the object of his life had been accomplished. At that time, he evolved from his mind the Manus, who promote the welfare activities of the universe. Text 50. तेभ्यासो सृजत्सु स्वीयं पुरं पुरुषम् आत्मवान् तान् दृष्ट्वा ये पुरसृष्टा परशाशंसु प्रजापतिं तेभ्य to them sa Lord Brahma asrajat gave swiyam his own puram body purusham human atmavan self possessed tan them drishtva on seeing ye those who pura earlier srishta were created the demigods, Gandharvas, etc., who were created earlier. Prashasham Shu applauded Prajapatim Brahma, the Lord of created beings. Translation. The self-possessed creator gave them his own human form. On seeing the Manus, those who had been created earlier, the demigods, the Gandharvas, and so on, applauded Brahma, the Lord of the universe. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, who wants to continue? Hare Krishna, Praveen, Prabhu, Tanda, Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for joining again after a long time.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Tanda, Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. If no one wants to continue, I will. Okay, let me continue now. It's
Prabhu.
third canto, 20th chapter, 51. 51, yeah. Aho etaj jagat srashtaha sukritam batate kritam प्रतिष्ठिताः क्रियाः यस्मिन् साकम् अन्नम् अदामहे synonyms aho etat this jagat srashtaha creator of the universe sukritam well done bata indeed te by you kritam produced pratishtitaha established soundly kriyaha all ritualistic performances yasmin in which shakam along with it annam the sacrificial oblations adama we shall share hey oh translation purport by his divine grace AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai translation they prayed, O creator of the universe, we are glad. What you have produced is well done. Since ritualistic acts have now been established soundly in this human form, we shall all share the sacrificial oblations. Purport. The importance of sacrifice is also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, 3rd canto, 10th verse. The Lord confirms there that in the beginning of creation, Brahma created the Manus along with the ritualistic sacrificial method and blessed them. Continue these sacrificial rites and you will be gradually elevated to your proper position of self-realization and will also enjoy material happiness. All the living entities created by Brahma are conditioned souls and are inclined to lord it over material nature. The purpose of sacrificial rituals is to revive gradually the spiritual realization of the living entities. That is the beginning of life within this universe. These sacrificial rituals, however, are intended to please the Supreme Lord. Unless one pleases the Supreme Lord or unless one is Krishna conscious, one cannot be happy either in material enjoyment or in spiritual realization. Text 52. Tapasa vidyaya yukto yogena susamadhina rishin rishir rishikeshaha sasajja abhimataha prajaha synonyms tapasa by penance vidyaya by worship yuktaha being engaged yogena by concentration of the mind in devotion su samadhina by nice meditation, Rishin, the sages, Rishihi, the first seer, Brahma, Rishikesha, the controller of his senses, Sasarja, created, Abhimataha, beloved, Prajaha, sons. Translation: having equipped himself with austere penance, adoration, mental concentration, and absorption in devotion, accompanied by dispassion, and having controlled his senses, Brahma, the self born living creature, evolved great sages as his beloved sons. Purport: the ritualistic performances of sacrifice are meant for material economic development. In other words, they are meant to keep the body in good condition for cultivation of spiritual knowledge. But for actual attainment of spiritual knowledge, other qualifications are needed. What is essential is vidya, or worship of the Supreme Lord. Sometimes the word yoga is used to refer to the gymnastic performance of different bodily postures which help mental concentration. Generally, the different bodily postures in the yoga system are accepted by less intelligent men to be the end of yoga, but actually they are meant to concentrate the mind upon the super soul. After creating persons for economic development, Brahma created sages who would set the example for spiritual realization. Text 53. तेभ्यस् चैकैकशः स्वस्यां देहस्यां शम् अदाद् अजः यत्तत् समाधियोग रिद्धिः रिद्धि तपो विद्या विरक्तिमत्. Synonyms: tebhyah, to them, cha, and ekaikashaha, each one, swasya, of his own, de dehasya, body, am amsam, part, adat, gave, ajaha, the unborn, brahma, yat, which, tat, that, samadhi, deep meditation, yoga, concentration of the mind, riddhi, supernatural power, tapas, austerity, vidya, knowledge, virakti, renunciation, mat, possessing. Translation: to each one of these sons, the unborn creator of the universe gave a part of his own body, which was characterized by deep meditation, mental concentration, supernatural power, austerity, adoration, and renunciation. Purport: the word Vrektimat in this verse means possessed of the qualification of renunciation. Spiritual realization cannot be attained by materialistic persons. For those who are addicted to sense enjoyment, spiritual realization is not possible. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that those who are too attached to seeking material possessions and material enjoyment cannot reach yoga samadhi, absorption in Krishna consciousness. Propaganda that one can enjoy this life materially and at the same time spiritually advance in is simply bogus. The principles of renunciation are four. One, to avoid illicit sex life. Second, to avoid meat eating. Third, to avoid intoxication. And four, to avoid gambling. These four principles are called tapasya, or austerity. To observe the mind in the Supreme in Krishna consciousness is the process of spiritual realization. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 20th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Conversation between Maitreya and Vidura.
Haribol. I think we can read few more verses.
Yes. Chapter 21. Conversation between Manu and Kardama. Text 1. Viduravacha Swayambhuvasya वस्य च मनोर्वंशः परमसम्मतः कथ्यतां भगवन् यत्र मैथुनेनैन्धिरे प्रजाः. Synonyms: Vidura Uvacha, Vidura said, Swayambhuvasya of Swayambhuva cha and Mano of Manu Vamsaha, the dynasty Parama most Sammataha esteemed Katyatam kindly described Bhagavan, O worshipful sage, Yatra in which Maithunena, those sexual intercourse, Edhire multiplied, Prajaha, the progeny. Progeny. Translation Vidura said, the line of Swayambhu Manu was most esteemed. O worshipful sage, I beg you, give me an account of this race whose progeny multiplied through sexual intercourse. Purport regulated sex life to generate good population is worth accepting. Actually, Vidura was not interested in hearing the history of persons who merely engage in sex life, but he was interested in the progeny of Swayambhu Manu because in that dynasty, good devotee kings appeared who protected their subjects very carefully with spiritual knowledge. By hearing the history of their activities, therefore, one becomes more enlightened. An important word used in this connection is Parama Sammataha, which indicates that the progeny created by Swayambhu Manu and his sons was approved of by great authorities. In other words, sex life for creating exemplary population is accepted to all sages and authorities of Vedic scripture. Text 2. प्रियव्रतोत्थानपादौ सुतौ स्वायम्भुवस्य वै यथा धर्मं जुगुपतुः सप्त द्वीपवतीं महीं Synonyms Priyavrata Maharaja Priyavrata Uttanapada and Maharaja Uttanapada Sutau, the two sons Swayambhuvasya of Swayambhu Manu. Why? Indeed, Yatha, according to Dharmam, religious principles, Jugupatu ruled Saptadvipavatim, consisting of 7 islands, Mahim, the world. Translation The two great sons of Swayambhu Manu, Priyavrata and Uttanapada, ruled the world, consisting of 7 islands, just according to religious principles. Purport Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is also a history of the great roles of different parts of the universe. In this verse, the names of Priyavrata and Uttanapada, sons of Swayambhu, are mentioned. They ruled this earth, which is divided into 7 islands. These 7 islands are still current as Asia, Europe, Africa, America, Australia, and the North and South poles. There is no chronological history of all the Indian kings in Srimad Bhagavatam, but the deeds of the most important kings such as Priyavrata and Uttanapada and many others like Lord Ramachandra and Maharaj Yudhishthira are recorded because the activities of such pious kings are worth hearing. People may benefit by studying their histories. Text third. Tasya vai दुहिता ब्रह्मन् देवहूतीति विश्रुता पत्नी प्रजापतेर्युक्ता कर्दमस्य त्वयानघा synonyms tasya of that Manu. Why? Indeed, Duhita, the daughter, Brahma, a O holy Brahmana, Brahman, O holy Brahmana, Devahuti, named Devahuti, iti, thus Vishruta, was known Patni, wife, Prajapate of the Lord of created beings, Yukta, has been spoken of Kardamasya of Kardama Muni, Tvaya, by you, Anagha, O sinless one. Translation O holy Brahmana, O sinless one, you have spoken of his daughter known by the name Devahuti as the wife of the sage Kardama, the lord of created beings. Purport Here we are speaking of Swayambhu Manu, but in the Bhagavad Gita we hear about Vaivasvata Manu. The present age belongs to the Vaivasvata Manu. Swayambhu Manu was previously ruling, and his history begins from the Varaha age or the millennium when the Lord appeared as the boar. There are 14 Manus in one day of the life of Brahma, and in the life of each Manu, there are particular incidents. The Vaivasvata Manu of Bhagavad Gita is different from Swayambhu Manu. Text 4. तस्यां स वै महायोगी युक्तायां योगलक्षणैः ससर्ज कदिथा वीर्यं तन्मे शुश्रूषवे वदा. Synonyms. तस्यां, in her, Saha, Kardama Muni, why, in fact, Mahayogi, great mystic yogi, Yuktayam, endowed, Yoga Lakshanaihi, with the eightfold symptoms of yogic perfection, Sasarja, propagated, Katidha, how many times, Viryam, offspring, Tat, that narration, may, to me, Sushrusave, who am eager to hear. Vada, tell. Translation. How many offspring did that great yogi beget through the princess, who was endowed with eightfold perfection in the yoga principles? Oh, pray tell me this, for I am eager to hear it. Purport. Here, Vidura inquired about Kardama Muni and his wife Devahuti and about their children. It is described here that Devahuti was very much advanced in the performance of eightfold yoga. The 8 divisions of yoga performance are described as: first, control of the senses; second, strict following of the rules and regulations; third, practice of the different sitting postures; fourth, control of the breath; fifth, withdrawing the senses from sense objects; sixth, concentration of the mind; seventh, meditation; and eighth, self-realization. After self-realization, there are 8 further perfectional stages which are called Yoga Siddhis. The husband and wife Kardama and Devahuti were advanced in yoga practice. The husband was a Mahayogi, great mystic, and the wife was a Yoga Lakshana, or one advanced in yoga. They united and produced children. Formerly, after making their lives perfect, great sages and saintly persons used to beget children. Otherwise, they strictly observed the rules and regulations of celibacy. Brahmacharya, following the rules and regulations of celibacy, is required for perfection of self realization and mystic power. There is no recommendation in the Vedic scriptures that one can go on enjoying material sense gratification at one's whims as one likes and at the same time become a great meditator by paying a rascal some money. By paying a rascal some money. Text 5. Ruchiryo Bhagavan Brahman Daksho va Brahmanah सुतः यथा ससर्ज भूतानि लब्ध्वा भार्यां च मानवीं. Synonyms. रुचिः, रुचि. यः, who. Bhagavan, worshipful. Brahman, oh holy sage. Dakshah, daksha. Va, and. Brahmanah, oh of Lord Brahma. Sutaha, the son, yatha, in what way, sasarja, generated, bhutani, offspring, labdhva, after securing, bharyam, as their wives, cha, and manavim, the daughters of Swayambhu Manu. Translation. O holy sage, tell me how the worshipful Ruchi and Daksha, the son of Brahma, generated children after securing as their lives the other 2 daughters of Swayambhu Manu. Purport. All the great personalities who increased the population in the beginning of the creation are called Prajapatis. Brahma is also known as Prajapati, as were some of his later sons. Swayambhu Manu is also known as Prajapati, as is Daksha, another son of Brahma. Swayambhu had 2 daughters, Akuti and Prasuti. The Prajapati Ruchi married Akuti and Daksha married Prasuti. These couples and their children produced immense numbers of children to populate the entire universe. Vidura's inquiry was, how did they beget the population in the beginning? Text 6. Maitreya Uvacha Prajaha Srijeti Bhagavan Kardamo Brahmanodhitaha Sasarvatyam Tapasate Tepe Sahasranam Samadasha. Synonyms. Maitreya Uvacha, the great sage Maitreya said, Prajaha, children, Srija, beget, Iti, thus, Bhagavan, the worshipful, Kardamaha, Kardama Muni, Brahmana, by Lord Brahma, Uditaha, commanded, Saraswatyam, on the bank of the river Saraswati, Tapaha, penance, Tepe, practiced, Sahasranam, of thousands, Samaha, years, Dasha, 10. Translation. The great sage Maitreya replied, commanded by Lord Brahma to beget children in the world, so the worshipful Kardama Muni practiced penance on the bank of the river Saraswati for a period of 10,000 years. Purport. It is understood herein that Kardama Muni meditated in yoga for 10,000 years before attaining perfection. Similarly, we have information that Valmiki Muni also practiced yoga meditation for 60,000 years before attaining perfection. Therefore, yoga practice can be successfully performed by persons who have a very long duration of life, such as 100,000 years. In that way, it is possible to have perfection in yoga. Otherwise, there is no possibility of attaining the real perfection. Following the regulations, controlling the senses, and practicing the different sitting postures are merely the preliminary practices. We do not know how people can be captivated by the bogus yoga system in which it is stated that simply by meditating 15 minutes daily, one can attain the perfection of becoming one with God. This age, Kali Yuga, is the age of bluffing and quarrel. Actually, there is no possibility of attaining yoga perfection by such paltry proposals. The Vedic literature, for emphasis, clearly states 3 times that in this age of Kali, Kalo nasti eva nasti eva nasti eva. There is no other alternative, no other alternative, no other alternative than Hare Nama, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Text 7. तपः समाधि युक्तेन क्रिया योगेन कर्दमः संप्रपद्येते हरिं भक्त्या प्रपन्न वरदाशु सम. Synonyms. Tataha, then in that penance, Samadhi yuktena, in trance, Kriya yogena, by bhakti yoga worship, Kardamaha, the sage of Kardama, Samprapayada, served, Harim, the personality of Godhead, Bhaktya, in devotional service, Prapanna, to the surrendered souls, Varada, Ashusham, the bestower of all blessings. Translation. During the period of penance, the sage Kardama, by worship through devotional service in trance, propitiated the personality of Godhead, who is the quick bestower of all blessings upon those who flee to him for protection. Purport. The significance of meditation is described here. Kardama Muni practiced mystic yoga meditation for 10,000 years just to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari. Therefore, whether one practices yoga or speculates or does research to find God, his efforts must be mixed with the process of devotion. Without devotion, nothing can be perfect. The target of perfection and realization is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said that one who constantly engages in Krishna consciousness is the topmost yogi. The personality of Godhead, Krishna, also fulfills the desires of his surrendered devotee. one has to surrender unto the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, Hari or Krishna, in order to achieve real success. Devotional service or engagement in Krishna consciousness is the direct method, and all other methods, although recommended, are indirect. In this age of Kali, the direct method is especially more feasible than the indirect because people are short living, their intelligence is poor, and they are poverty stricken and embraced by so many miserable disturbances. Lord Chaitanya therefore has given the greatest boon in this age. One simply has to chant the holy name of the God to attain perfection in spiritual life. The words Harim, Samprapede Harim mean that in various ways Kardama Muni satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari by his devotional service. By his devotional service. Devotional service is also expressed by the word Kriya Yogena. Kardama Muni not only meditated, but he also engaged in devotional service to attain perfection in yoga practice or meditation. One must act in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. Remembering is meditation also. But who is to be remembered? One should remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not only must one remember the Supreme Person, one must hear about the activities of the Lord and chant his glories. This information is in the authoritative scriptures. After engaging himself for 10,000 years in performing different types of devotional service, Kardama Muni attained the perfection of meditation, but that is not possible in this age of Kali, wherein it is very difficult to live for as much as 100 years. At the present moment, who will be successful in the rigid performance of the many yoga rules and regulations? Moreover, perfection is attained only by those who are surrendered souls. Where there is no mention of the personality of Godhead, where is there surrender? And where there is no meditation upon the personality of Godhead, where is the yoga practice? Unfortunately, people in this age, especially persons who are of a demonic nature, want to be cheated. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead sends great cheaters who mislead them. Mislead them in the name of yoga and render their lives useless and doomed. In the Bhagavad Gita, therefore, it is clearly stated in the 16th chapter, 17th verse, that rascals of self made authority, being puffed up by illegally collected money, perform yoga without following the authoritative books. They are very proud of the money they have plundered from innocent persons who wanted to be cheated. Text 8. तावत् प्रसन्नो भगवान् पुष्कराक्षः कृते युगे दर्श दर्शयामास तं क्षत्तः शाब्दं शाब्दं ब्रह्म दढ् दद्व वपुः ददहद vapuhu. Synonyms. Tavat, then, prasannaha, being pleased, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Pushkara, Akshaha, lotus side, Krite Yuge, in the Satya Yuga, Darshaya Asa, showed them to that Kardama Muni, Kshattaha, O Vidura,